For those who were in class today, you know that we had a little bit of technical difficulties getting data.world to work. Seems they were having some server errors, so instead of the practice we were going to do in class, I'm going to show it to you now in a video. What I will do is I will show the prompt, which is here in comments, and then I'll give you a moment to pause your video. You work out the query, and then unpause the video, and you'll see how I do it, and I'll talk through it, and you'll see the results and see if we got similar results. So, there's your warning. Go ahead and pause this video, and then play again once you're ready to see me work through it. Here we go. So, first things first, always select, right? And it wants to know how many customers have the word sales in their name. So we know we're going to have to work with customers. Let's get the cust name. And it says down here we also want to display the cust type. So let's get that, comma, cust type. And we know that this has got to come from at least the customer table. In fact, if we were to look over at the data schema, let me zoom over here a little bit. You can see in the customer table we have cust type and we have cust name. So we shouldn't need any other tables just yet. Okay, so we'll select from the customer table where, well, it has to have sales in the cust name. So where cust name like, we use like because we don't know exactly what the name is. We just want names with sales in them. So when we use like, we can use also wildcard percent symbol, sales percent. And remember, when you're using a wildcard, caps don't matter. When you're doing an exact comparison, like if you were to do cust name equals and then put the name, then you need capitals. Spelling always matters. Alright, so we are selecting cust name, cust type, and doing that from the customer table where the name has sales in it somewhere. And at some point we want to see how many of those are retailers. Let's just run this to see if it works. I hit run query, and you can see I have 8 results, and if I scroll down here, apparently it won't let me scroll down. So what I'll do is just look at what results we have. We have 8 results. That's how many you should have. As you look down your list, I'll look down my list. I have 1 retailer. So that would be the answer. There's 1 retailer. I hope you got the right answer. There are other ways to do this, but this is a good, efficient way to do it. Let's try the next query. Here's the prompt. How many of each type of customer are there? Display customer type and count total customers of that type. Go ahead and pause and unpause when you're ready. Okay, we need to select, of course. We want to know how many of each customer type. So that would be a count. So count cust type. We're going to count cust type, and we're going to display count type. So let me just stick that in here too. Cust underscore type, comma. And let's name this count cust type as total, or something like that. Okay, this is going to come from the customer table, and there really isn't any criteria there, and no order by, so we should just be able to run this. Except we always need to group by when we're doing an aggregate function like count. So group by, I like making errors in front of you guys so that you can see that I'm human too, and when you make errors, it's totally cool. Alright, so here we are. We have wholesalers, manufacturers, and retailers, and that's the number for each. That's it. Let's do the next one. How many shipments have been made to retailers in Utah? Go ahead and pause and unpause when you're ready. Select. We need retailers. That would be cust type. We also need state, customer state. That is the state in which the customer resides, or as headquarters. From, well, can we get this all from the customer table? The answer is, let's see, cust type right here, state right here, so that's pretty good. But the problem is we need to count the number of shipments, and that is not in the customer table, so we're going to have to go down to the shipments table. Now, if you were to look at the data summary, you can see that shipment is the central table with all the foreign keys coming to the shipment table. So it should be the primary table that we draw from and then join other tables to it. Okay, so we're going to select from the shipment table and we're going to join customer on shipment dot cust ID equals customer dot cust ID. And the criteria here is where customer state equals UT. Let's run this. Here we are. We got them all from Utah. And here are the customer types, but there's a problem. We want to know how many shipments have been made to retailers in Utah. So we also need to, up in our select statement, count ship IDs as total shipped. And since we're doing an aggregate function, we need to group by. Group by. And we have to group by everything up here that's not in the aggregate function. So customer type and state. Cust type, customer dot state. And this should work. Here we go. We've had total shipped to Utah, 3 for retailers, 3 for wholesalers, and 3 for manufacturers. So the answer here would be 3. How many shipments have been made to retailers in Utah? Now, we could have also limited this so that it said cust type equals retailer, and that would reduce it to just the answer we're looking for. Except you can't use a comma here. Obviously, you have to use an and to say both criteria are required. Run that. There we go. Retailers, Utah, just 3. Again, love making mistakes in front of you. You can see that everyone does it. And there are easy ways to figure out what you've done. Next one. What is the average annual revenue of customers in California, Utah, Washington, and New York? All right. Go ahead and pause and unpause when you're ready for the answer. So we need to select revenue. We know that. Let's open this back up so we can see how that is listed. It's listed as annual revenue. So select, but it's got to be average annual revenue. And we see the hint here. We want to round it so we get decimals knocked off. Or we can knock it to 2 decimals. I'll show you how to do that. So let's round average annual revenue, comma, annual revenue, and then out here we do comma 2 for 2 decimals. Let's put in the customer state from just the customer table where customer state is in, and we can put a list. CA, UT. What were the other places? Let's see. Washington and New York. WA, NY. Okay, let's run this and see what happens. We made another mistake. We are using an aggregate function, average, but we are not grouping by anything. Remember, every time you use an aggregate function, you must group by. So let's group by. What do we need to group by? Everything that's not being aggregated. So, customer state. Okay, run this again. Here we go. Looks like it didn't want to give me multiple decimals when they're just trailing zeros. So we can just round without that 2 in there. Run it again. Here we go. So this is the average revenue of companies in California, New York, Washington, and Utah. Cool. Next query. Which company orders the most or has the most shipments in California? List all customers in California in descending order by total shipments. And use count, not sum. Okay, go ahead and pause and unpause when you're ready. Select. We need to display the customer name to figure out which company this is. And we need to count the shipments. So count ship ID, because those will be unique, so we'll count each one individually. From shipment, it's the central primary table, join customer on shipment dot cust ID equals customer dot cust ID, where we only want California, cust state equals CA. Now we're using aggregate function. Let's not make this mistake again. We're going to group by cust name. Let's see if this works. Okay, we got everything, but we forgot to order. So let's go ahead and order by. And when you do an order by with an aggregate function, you need to include the aggregate function. So we wouldn't just order by ship ID, we'd order by this variable, this new field up here. So we can include the entire function here, or we could just name this function as total shipped, something like that, and then use that to order by. So total shipped. Run query. It's going ascending. Let's do descending. Run query. And here we go. So AAA Rental Sales and Service has the most total shipped to them in the state of California. Excellent. Next query, which I believe will be the last query. It's going to be awesomely complicated and will require quite a bit of ingenuity on your part. So, what are the top 5 revenue per capita, as revenue divided by population, for any customer in the following states? And we want to list all these things. So, go ahead and pause, struggle through it, and then come back and see how we did it. Select, well, we need to select cust name, city name, and rounded revenue per capita. So that'd be round. And revenue, I think it's called annual revenue, right? Annual revenue divided by population. Now, how did I know that? If you open this up, you can see we have population right here for the city. And we need to do this all from the shipment table and join the customer table on shipment.custid equals customer custid, and we need to join city on shipment.cityid equals city.cityid. Okay, we have these two tables together. Now, what are the top 5 revenue per capita for any customer? So we know we need to order by at some point. Let's name this rounded revenue. Let's do rounded revenue per capita, RRPC. And let's order by that, RRPC. Let's do it in descending order. And then let's limit this to just the top 5. Let's see if we got all this. We need to get the top 5 revenue per capita for any customer in the following states. We need to limit the number of states here. Okay, so where do we put the where? We put it right after the join. So where customer.state in GAWIAL. Okay, this should work. We run it, and it is ordering by that. You get to see the city they're in, the name of the customer, and it turns out this person, or this company, U-Haul company, is making $476 per customer in this city. Let's find out what state that's in. Let's just add that in here. State. Let's see. Customer state. Run that. Oops. I stuck that in the join table, not in the select statement. Or in the join statement, not the select statement. Sorry about that. Let's stick it up here in customer state. Here we go. Run that. And we see it's in Georgia. That U-Haul is making a lot of money. They also make a lot of money in Georgia, in the city of Roanoke. Cool. That was pretty complicated. And we're only getting the top 5 SQL query results. I hope these help you better understand more complex queries with different data. Go ahead and practice these. I hope you didn't just watch the video all the way through, but instead paused the video and did the queries yourself. Struggled through them, hopefully got them wrong, then got them right. It's useful to error, at least not when you're doing a test. It's useful to error when you're practicing. Good luck!